1867, and they finished it in 1870, so we are going to celebrate it in 2020. Prior to this, there have been Muslims in Finland. This is permanent Islam in Finland. But prior to this, if you know Suomenlinna Castle, they were serving as soldiers. There were Jewish people and Muslim people, Tatars, similar to me. But then, of course, they had to leave. In those days, actually, in the 1850s, there was one building in Suomenlinna Castle which served on Fridays as a mosque and as a synagogue on Saturdays. But that building does not exist anymore, unfortunately. Here you can see that Nizhny Novgorod region is where we came from. And I'm in 4th generation, and my son is in 5th generation. We have been capable of preserving, protecting our religion, our language, and our cultural habits. We believe that these things go together. For example, in your case, I believe that you should, if you want to preserve your religion, you should preserve your native language as well, and the other way around. They go hand in hand because this is, I believe, the right way of doing this. The Finnish Islamic Congregation, this building was built in 1960. Prior to this, we had other mosques. This is the second purpose-built mosque in Finland. And the congregation was established in 1925. Why? Because in 1923 there was this Freedom of Religions Act, which was one of the first ones in Western Europe, which makes this is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Islamic congregation in Western Europe. There are older ones if you go to Lithuania or Poland. In Poland there are Tatars. There have been like 400 or 500 years Tatars there. So Islam in Europe is nothing new. It's nothing new. So the second one, actually, the one with the minaret, is Järvenpää, also our mosque. There is only the Salatul Jummah is being prayed, and it's with the minaret. This was built during the wartime, and we didn't receive any payments or nothing. This was built by our own hands and with the support, the financial support of our members in the congregation, as well as the one in the city center. We received like 5-6% donations outside of Finland. Otherwise, we paid it ourselves, the whole of it. So this was during the wartime, and after it was finished, the army took it from us. They wanted to train some Estonian radists there, but then after the war, it became us. Now it has been 156 men and 21 women participated in both wars, the Winter War and the Continuation War. And they are on their vacation, the members of our congregation. And then there's the memorial statue in our cemetery, Hietaniemi. This is the third Sunday of May each year. This is for the war heroes. So. Now, all the way till 1980s, we were the only Muslims in Finland, I would say. You remember it, of course, you have been with us for more than 40 years, but if you look at the statistics now, Muslims in Finland, you see here, and if we had it all the way till 1980s, you would see that it was around 1,000, and since we had like 800 members those days, so we almost had a monopoly on Islam in Finland. But then things changed rapidly, and as you know, 2015 we received like 30, I would say around 95,000. Still many of the cases are in the court, so we don't know how many of them will be allowed to remain in Finland. We have had no practically problems in Finland among the Muslim community. Maybe some problems, but they have been more or less personal problems. But anyway, there was in what happened actually. I would like to show you this picture. This is Abbas Mahmanpour, who is the Imam of the Resala congregation Shia, then Anas Hajar and myself. So what they did actually in 2015, the media tried to cause problems for Muslims in Finland, stating that there are problems within the Shia community and the Sunni community, which is not true. But to avoid any conflicts or problems, we signed a document, Mutual Promise of Respect of Muslims, which was signed by 3 of us. So practically we don't have any problems. Of course, there are people who say bad things about other people, but I don't see that is theological. It's more politics. It's politics actually, and personal problems if somebody has. But theologically, we are closer to each other than Catholics and Protestants are. This is the fact. Anybody who knows, you don't have to be a scholar to find that out. So the difference is. A few words about integration. It has been said that the Jewish community of Finland, the Jewish minority of Finland, and the Tatars in Finland, we have been a good example of how to integrate into society. Integration is different to assimilation. Assimilation means that you become exactly as native Finns. This integration means something else. So how come we have managed to do this so well, whereas the rest of the ones who came after us hasn't been that successful? I believe there are several reasons, and just to show you 3 major ones. The first one is we already had the minority status in the country of origin. So we are from Russia, Imperial Russia, and already in Russia we were there like a religious, lingual and ethnic minority. This is number 1. Because then if you come from a country, and the country of origin you lived in, you lived as a majority, you first have to cope how to live as a minority. I am not trying to say that minority is worse or better, but it's different. There are some good things and there are less good things, but it's different. Second thing was the myth of return as it is described in the science. So my grandparents and great-grandparents knew that there was no way of going back because of communism. And since they were religious people and they were more or less wealthy people, they knew that if they went back, they would be killed. And a couple of them actually went back and they were shot to death, of course. And they knew that it would take at least 1 or 2 generations to. You see, what happened was I think from the 40s till the early 60s, they didn't even receive any letters from Soviet Union because it was not allowed. It was the evil empire. So, which means also it helps us to integrate. If you know that there's no way of returning there, then you would start integrating faster, learning the language, etc., etc. Whereas if you thought that one day I'm going back, maybe in 1 or 2 or 5 years I'm going back to the country of origin, then you don't have to, you don't have to do this. The third one, also vital, was that there was no social security those days. So from day number 1, they had to start working. Otherwise, they would have starved. So the system in Finland doesn't, how to put it mildly, it doesn't encourage you, or in some cases, it even doesn't let you work until after certain steps have been taken. So, because we believe that when you start working, you will learn the habits, you will learn the language. The native Finns will start to respect you because you are paying taxes, you have maybe a loan for you have a mortgage for your house, etc., etc. So they feel that you are equals. But the system doesn't allow you to work unless certain steps have been taken. Then we have this, what I call disintegration. So nowadays we have some problems with disintegration, actually. There are 2 things, actually. Number 1 is that there are people who are trying to ban circumcision for male for non-medical reasons. And this is something we are opposing with the Jewish community. At the moment, the situation is good. but we never know. The second one, actually, I don't know whether you've heard or not, there's a proposed law in the parliament at the moment. The name of the law would be the well-being of animals. And if they pass this law, it would mean that there would not be any halal or kosher meat in Finland anymore. Everything would have to be imported. So now it's in the parliament, and we wrote a letter, actually, a couple of letters. And it's the Commission for Agriculture and Forestry. We sent a letter to them as well, and I was the only expert they wanted to hear, or actually they gave the possibility for example, for the Finnish Council of Finland, etc., etc. But I was the only one who went there, and I represented the Finnish Islamic congregation as well as the Jewish community of Helsinki. And at the moment it's in the Committee of Constitutional Law. And we are fighting hard to affect them. They're going to hear 5 or 6 experts, so I'm in the process of contacting them, etc., etc. In addition to this, we have been having discussions with the embassies of several Western countries, and they have written to the Commission or the committee as well that it is against their values as well. Because if they would pass this law, it would violate the Constitution of Finland as well as the European Human Rights Convention and many, many, many other conventions. And I have also mentioned that if they pass this law, then it would mean that the animals would have better rights than Muslims, human rights, freedom of religion, etc. Don't laugh, because this is not a laughable matter. It's true, unfortunately. Right. Why they are doing this? Well, there is Islamophobia, there is anti-Semitism, there's xenophobia, but then there are people, this is a good one, there's sincere ignorance and conscious stupidity. So there are really people who believe that this is good for the animals, etc., etc. They disregard the fact that, for example, a lot of animals die when people hunt in Finland, and they suffer more. And some of them even, the dog doesn't find the animal or the bird, whatever it is. So this is, by the way, Dr. Martin Luther King, his quote. So it's about this. It's also secularism. All the Scandinavian countries are more or less secular nowadays. So that's the problem we are facing. Again, terminology about integration. There is, for example, one can be, the problem is with the word Finland, because you have Finnish passport, Finnish citizenship, Finnish nationality, and the language of Finnish. Then there is Finnishness, and then there's Muslimness. There was Teemu Pauha, who had his dissertation, doctoral dissertation. I think he had to stay there. After maybe 10 years, he would say that I'm now British, right? But in Finland, we don't have like many layers. One day you might become British, but you would probably never become English or Welsh or Irish, because it has more to do with the nationality rather than with the citizenship. But in Finnish, it's Finnish. But I believe that when they ask me that are you a Finn or are you a Tatar or what are you? So it's difficult to give. I would have first to explain this situation. But I would say first of all I'm a Muslim, of course. I'm a Tatar, and I'm Finnish also. So you can be a Muslim at the same time, and you can be a Tatar or Indonesian or they don't overrule each other. So this is important to know. That we are not in America, that everybody becomes American. In Finland, it's different. So you still can be a Finn, an Indonesian, and a Muslim, or whatever. Right. So this is about the next stage. Next part is about interfaith dialogue or interfaith communication. We have also had the religious leaders started meeting each other after 9/11. But this is more official. I was, at the moment I'm the vice president, I was before that the president of this organization. So the purpose of this organization is to foster peace in society in the spirit of strengthening freedom of religion. And this at the moment consists of 3 Abrahamic religions. But obviously some other religions would be included in the very near future. We write statements like to the parliament or to the ministries, or if something bad or good happens, we write letters. Then we arrange roundtables, seminars, conferences. This is just one example we had with the Ministry of the Interior 2.5 years ago. We are going to have a next one. It's called Hate and Speech this month, 27th of February. And yeah, this is a copy of the letter we wrote to the ministry concerning the well-being of animals. So it's more convincing. It's more convincing to write them about the matters which are important for us Muslims if all these 3 balls are included rather than just the one in the middle. So if they see that this is important, this matter for Christians and Jews and Muslims together, it's more, they listen to you more seriously. They take you more seriously if they see this. Then there is the third one, is the Finnish Muslim Network, which was founded in 2016. At the moment, it's a network for not organizations or associations. It's a network for individuals. So anybody who is capable of communicating in Finnish language and is willing to respect other Muslims, so there is no Shia, Sunni, and that kind of stuff is most welcome. We have several projects at the moment. The most important one is the one we are making a booklet for Muslim inmates in prisons, not only for the prisoners but also for the people who are working there, so that they know how to during Ramadan how to for iftar, etc., etc. So that's under construction. There's one. Let me see whether I took it or not. This is brand new, so it's not included there. This is the book every soldier in the Finnish army receives for free. This is the psalms and hymns of Christianity. So you can sing these, and then there's some stuff of Christianity. But in this newest edition, if you open page 134, you can see this whole page. The first is in Arabic, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. And then the translation. And Surat al-Fatiha, Surat al-Ikhlas, Surat al-Falaq, and Nas. Everything is here. So this is quite amazing. And this is given to every Finnish soldier in service. So these are good steps. Also, we are working on people, on Muslims who are in hospitals under the need of medical care, or people who are dying, to make booklets, to make databases. So he needed an imam or somebody else to talk or discuss with things, then we would have everything online. But this is for the prisons, it's the one we need the most. Why, if you ask? Well, let me remind you of what happened in Turku 2 summers ago. We believe that if there's a new one, it might come from the prisons, because at the moment we don't have any prison imams or chaplains, as they say, but we indeed have prisoner imams. So within the prisoners, Muslim prisoners, somebody says he knows about Islam and his imam, and they are very extreme. And people listen to them. And they can say, yeah. So this is what happened. We actually waited this to happen, and it happened. This is Next Sunday, we went to the Cathedral Church of Helsinki. This is Abbas and myself, and this is the reverend of that church, to give our pay our sympathies. Then we wrote a statement in cooperation